class is in session. This is one of my favorite things to teach, but I feel like I don't teach very well. And what I mean by that is like I feel like I have the knowledge, but sometimes getting it across, I feel like it doesn't make sense. So I'm praying that this makes sense. But this is my Eye Basics bundle. It's the perfect place to start when you're learning to do eyeshadow. And I'm gonna walk you through each step of the way to create your own go-to eyeshadow look. There's quite a few steps, but what's nice about this, every step of the way with the shadows could be finished off with just mascara and call it good. So you don't have to do all 5 or 6, I honestly can't remember. It's 5. You don't have to do all 5 of the shadow steps in order for the look to look good. That is like the max level. Actually, not even max, you can obviously make it even more, but that is like the highest level of the basics. But after step 1, you could throw on mascara and be good to go. You could do step 1 and step 2, throw on mascara, be good to go. So this is not only like the stepping stones to a full look, but it's also like in order of importance. In my opinion, it's the shadow steps in order of importance, because you really can just throw on mascara after each step and be good to go. Let's get into it. I use ShadowSense. I've used it for 8.5 years now. It's a cream to powder eyeshadow. They come in tubes like this. Some of the older ones look like this. They come in tubes like this, and they are cream shadows that are super uber pigmented. Blend out really well though, and so they're super easy, really versatile product. Once they set, they do not budge. They're crease proof, waterproof, transfer proof, long wearing, and also filled with anti-aging skincare. It gives your skin a little bit of a boost, whereas most long wearing transfer proof cream shadows are really drying and not ideal for the eye area. So that's the benefit of these. They're really awesome, and they come in tons of colors. But I'm gonna start off with just the basics. What's nice about having these basics in your makeup bag is you know that they're just always going to work. And then when fun colors come around, when something a little bolder comes around, you can add it in and like just swap it out with one of these steps. So, and I'm not saying that these particular shades that I use are obviously gonna work for you. Reach out to me on Instagram or Facebook and I can color match you for your own specific shades. The first shade is an all over color. And this is going to help cancel veins and redness. It's going to even out the skin tone. It's going to make a really great primer for everything else that you're going to put on top of it. If you have powder shadows that you love already, but you use an eyeshadow primer, swap it out for this one. It is a dream. It is seriously so good. I was a big fan of MAC Paint Pot, like for years and years and years, but what I don't like about that is it's sticky and tacky. It was great for like evening everything out, but then I always had to set it and then go in with powders. You don't have to do that with this. So this shade is Candlelight, and you just put a little bit on the lid. You can use your fingers to blend it out if you want, or a brush. I'm gonna use a brush. And it just cancels out veins and redness, evens everything out, and gives a nice base for whatever we are going to put on top of it. Now, if you are a minimal makeup type of person, you could totally use this, put on mascara, and be out the door. It's also a great option if you're like wanting to try this makeup but not ready to dive all in yet. Like I said, it wears beautifully under whatever you already are using. So grabbing a shade like this that is similar to your skin tone is the perfect step 1 all over. All right. Step 2 is going to be what most people call a crease color. I like to call it a transition color, because it actually doesn't really go in your crease necessarily, especially if you have hooded eyes. If you have hooded eyes, you do not want to put this color in your crease because it's just going to disappear. The crease obviously is the crease of your eye, and a lot of people, when they open their eyes, it disappears. So you actually want to put this shade right above the eye on your actual like orbital bone. You can feel that, and that orbital bone surrounds your eye. So if you put the shade right around that, it's going to frame your eye, make your eye look a little bit bigger, but also it's going to be like a frame for any of the colors and shadows that we put within it. It just helps to like make things look really purposeful and intentional. For me, this is a shade that's like a couple shades darker than my skin tone. I like just like a mid-toned brown for this. For me, I kind of go back and forth between these two shades. This is Natural Tan, it's a little bit warmer, and then this is Mocha Java, it's a little more neutral, but just a mid-tone brown that's a little bit darker than your skin tone. And I like to use this on a mid-size brush. This is an E25, and we're gonna put it right here, just frame the eye. So pick up a little bit of product onto my brush. I'll do a whole video on how to use and apply ShadowSense. I think I might have one actually, but it's probably time for an update. Okay, I'm dabbing a little bit of excess off onto the back of my hand so I don't have too much. And then I am going to apply it with my eye open actually and press it onto the skin. You can see I sweep back and forth a little bit, but I don't want to drag that delicate skin, so I'm just trying to press it on. And then I also go underneath the lower lash line. Again, that helps to complete and like finish the look, frame the eye, but it also helps to camouflage the fine lines and wrinkles under the eye. Everyone has fine lines and wrinkles down there. It's literally impossible not to. And so using a darker shade like this helps to camouflage versus like a bright light concealer is really going to accentuate. So there's that. You can see the difference. My eye looks a little bit bigger. It's framed. I could totally throw on mascara here and be good to go. All right, next step is an inner corner highlight. This makes such a big difference. It's a small step that has a big impact, especially for me where I have really dark circles. I want to look the most bright and awake as I can. So I'm using a lighter shade. This is quite a bit lighter than my skin tone. And I'm using a small domed brush. Pick up the product off the wand, tap excess off on the back of my hand, and just pop it right there on the inner corner. And then I'll also bring it a little bit onto the lid space. And just brighten. Makes a big difference. It doesn't look as crazy once you put your mascara on. So at this point, I could totally put on mascara and be good to go, or I can take it a step further. Personally, this type of trio is one that I sell the most often. It's perfect for beginners. It helps you to get confident with your makeup routine. These are the three that I use the most often, the most consistently. If I'm switching up my makeup based on like what I'm wearing, it's usually these next two steps that I'm switching up. Very rarely am I switching up the base, the transition, and the inner corner. These are, for the most part, going to stay the same, but the next steps are the ones that I like to switch up based on what I'm wearing. If I want something more colorful or more smoky or more intense or glam or whatever, I usually start with the trio, this base, and then the next shades are the alternates. So a trio like this is a key place to start. Next step is an outer corner color. And like I said, I do shift this one often depending on, again, what I'm wearing, what I'm feeling, if I want a pop of color. But for the purpose of this video, I'm just gonna keep it really neutral because it's probably what I wear the most, is keeping this outer corner color really neutral. So I'm gonna use this shade. It's called French Toast. Another one that I use often is Woodland. So just depending if I want to go warmer or cooler. Actually, I might use Woodland. I think I want to go cooler today. No, I'm gonna use French Toast. So this is going to be a brown shade that's just slightly darker than what we used in the transition area. So it's not a dark, dark brown, but it is darker than mid-tone. And I'm using it on a small brush. The key to eyeshadow, I feel like that a lot of people struggle with, is brush size. If you have too big of a brush, it's just gonna blow your product out everywhere and you're not gonna be as precise with your application, and then it's just not gonna look right. It's gonna look muddy, or it's gonna look like all the colors just meshed together and not in a good way. So try going down a size smaller with your brush and see if that makes a difference. So this is this brush, actually, I'm so bummed because it's not even available. It came in a set and I'm obsessed with it. I love it so much. But another one that I really like for this area is this one, the E42. It works really great as well. It's just not as dense. And I like the density for the outer corner. All right, so I'm going to press it into place to keep the pigment strong and true. And then I also like to take it a little bit under the lower lash line, not all the way like I took the transition shade, but just a little bit to keep it uniform, and that just adds a little more dimension to the eye. Again, I could go without this. I could throw on mascara and be good to go, or we can glam it up a little bit with some dimension on the outer corner, throw on mascara and be good to go. Ooh, and I will say too, because I'm thinking about like swapping out different colors and stuff. Okay, two things. One, when it comes to makeup, of course there are no rules. You do what you want to do, you play around, do what makes you feel best. One hard, fast rule that I never break though is my outer corner is always darker than my lid. I don't think there's ever been a time when my lid color is darker than my outer corner. That just looks not good on me. I don't know if I've ever even tried it, to be honest. That is a rule that I pretty much stand by. And why was I even thinking that? I don't know. When I'm playing with color, the color that I play with is usually outer corner and lid. And having that trio, that original trio that I showed you, and having that as the base makes playing with color a lot easier, because again, it keeps it in frame and it keeps it looking complete and intentional. And so when I am playing with color, it's usually in the form of a pop of color in the outer corner and or a pop of color on the lid. Next, ooh, I will also say, should I go off on this tangent? If we're doing smokier vibes, if you want a darker outer corner, I do still recommend going in with this type of shade first and then like stair-stepping it to even darker. Having that ombre of colors makes it a heck of a lot easier to blend. So if you're looking at this like, that is not dark enough for my preference, I need darker, still having that base down and then going in with something even darker makes it a lot easier to blend. All right, last up for eyeshadows is lid color. And on myself, my favorite lid color is something lighter and brighter. But of course, if I want a smokier vibe or if I want something colorful, I can switch it up. But I love just like a bright shade on my lid. So my go-to most used color on my lid is this one. It's called Sandstone Pearl Shimmer. And if you put it on with a fluffy brush, it'll be just like a soft wash of shimmer. But if you use a more dense brush like this, it'll keep it very true and metallic. So that's what I'm going to do today. And I'm going to press it into place. And it really just brightens up the eye. And then I can also put a little bit underneath my brow bone. This brush is a F70. It's technically a concealer brush, but I love the flatness of it. Flatter and the denser the brush, the more pigment you'll lay down, versus a fluffier brush is going to be less pigment and intensity. So that is the 5 steps to shadows. I could totally throw on mascara at this point and be good to go. Every step of the way could have thrown on mascara and been good to go. So that's why the application, in my opinion, that order is of importance, but also hopefully it's helpful and beneficial to you to build an eye look like this and to just know your steps, know your placement. Now we can dive into liner and lashes. For eyeliner, there's actually 2 products that I like to use as eyeliner. I love using the ShadowSense shadows, what I just put all over my eyes. I love using that as liner and I love recommending it for beginners. It's creamy, it's pigmented, it's blendable, it's workable, but then once it dries down. So it's very like easy to maneuver and you can get a softer finish like you can with powders, but then of course it's actually gonna stay and it's gonna last. You can also apply it more opaquely and have it be more intense, like a gel type of finish. But I just find that it's the easiest for beginners. However, I also love a pencil liner, especially for the waterline. I love putting a pencil liner in that upper waterline to help define the lashes a little bit more. And you can do this same technique with the pencil liner on the lid, but you do end up tugging a little bit more. It's a little bit trickier to kind of like soften it out. And so I do like having both. And I'm gonna show you both. You can make your decision on which one you want. My recommendation when someone does get both is to get a dark brown shadow and then a black pencil, because you can use this as shadow on your eyes too to deepen up the look a little bit if you want. This is also the same shadow that I use to fill in my brows, so it's very multi-purpose. And I'm using it on a small angled brush. This is an E25, I believe. Yeah, this one came in a set, so it's sparkly, but I'm pretty sure it's the E65. So for a little baby wing, we're just going to go up from the lower lash line, and I'm not going to cross over that crease area. So up from the lower lash line, extend towards the tail of my brow, but I'm not going to cross too far over that crease area. So my brush, my longer point of my brush is starting closer to the eye, and then I'm gonna flip it and have the longer point of my brush away and drag it back. And then I'm gonna fill that in and start to bring it a little bit more on the lid space, but I like to stop at my pupil. At the highest point of this like curve of my eye is where I like to stop my eyeliner, and that keeps my eye from looking too round and open, and it gives it more of like this cat eye elongated effect. Again, that's just a preference that I have. I find it the most flattering on myself. And then I'll slowly kind of drag that edge out a little bit more. I can even use my finger if I want. So I could keep it like intensely pigmented like this, or I could also take a brush and kind of smudge it out so it's a little bit softer. So the versatility with ShadowSense is really nice. You have more options as far as liner goes when you're using the eyeshadow. But then gosh, I freaking love the pencil liner for the upper waterline. So this is probably, I mean, this is definitely more of a preference thing for eyeliner, depending on which you prefer. I think most people would probably choose the ShadowSense just for that little wing, but I love an upper waterline liner. I just feel like it defines my lashes so much without taking up too much real estate on my lid space. And like I said, this pencil liner could also be used to draw on that wing, but it's not as creamy and like forgiving as the eyeshadow is. So if you're a beginner with eyeliner, starting off with the ShadowSense for liner is going to be so much easier. All right, let me curl my lashes real quick. For lashes, this duo, 100%. 100%. Now, if you already have a mascara that you use and love, I highly recommend at least getting this primer. A lash primer is awesome. It helps to build bulk and length and volume on your lashes without having to do too many layers of mascara, which can end up making your lashes look bulky and thick and spidery. But what's really cool about this primer in particular is it has a built-in lash serum. So it's actually formulated with a lash growth ingredient that is clinically proven to grow your lashes up to 46% in just 4 weeks. So that is really cool, especially if you're someone like me that has really sensitive eyes. I cannot wear lash serums. Like, my eyes break out, they're so red, they're so itchy. It looks like I have a permanent line of red eyeliner when I try to use a lash serum, but I can totally use this primer no problem. And it makes it really great because I can have the longest and fullest lashes that I can have naturally without having to use without having to use a lash serum and ruin my eyeballs. Okay, so with this primer, I like to let it sit and start to dry down before I put my mascara on. And this can be used, like I said, if you already have a mascara that you love, totally add this in. It can be used underneath any mascara. So I'm gonna let it sit and dry down for a bit, and I'll be back to put my mascara on. So last up in our Eye Basics bundle is, of course, mascara. You could skip the primer if you don't want it and you just wanna grab a mascara. This mascara in particular also has those lash growth benefits, so you will get that from this mascara. You don't have to have the primer in order to get those benefits. I love this mascara so much. I don't feel like any other mascara makes my lashes look nearly as good as this one does. I kind of like to wiggle at the base and then lift through. And then a little tip that I have for keeping your lashes curled, especially at the tip, is once you've got your mascara all on like you want it to be, get up there and kind of press the tips back. and it totally like just locks them in. Oh, and also I warm up my mascara, so I've actually been sitting on it this entire time. I'll either sit on it or put it in my armpit or something, but warming it up before you apply it is a game changer. It's a game changer. Ooh, missed the tube and just got mascara all over my hand. A little tip, if you don't have these, buy them now. They are fantastic for getting clumps out of your eyelashes. They're little brush picks actually meant for your teeth, but you can use them to separate your lashes. When I was little, I would use a needle. I don't know if I should admit that. I would use a needle to separate my lashes. So I feel like this is quite a bit safer. And that's it. There we have it. I don't have my blush on, so I feel like my face does not look fully done, fully put together, but that is it for the eye basics. And yes, it is. It's not basics in the sense of like 1 or 2 products. It's basics in teaching you a full look, but showing you how to break it down to where if you only have 5 minutes, you can do something quick and simple. If you have a little more time, you can build up to this. And then also teaching you how to work in other colors in order to match your outfit. I feel like once you've got this down, you are so much more confident and comfortable in playing with other colors and things like that. So I hope you found this helpful. Of course, like I said, it's all ShadowSense. It's all budge-proof, smudge-proof, waterproof, all the things proof. It's gonna last all day, no creasing. It's filled with anti-aging skincare, so it's really good for that thin, delicate skin around your eyes. I cannot say enough good things about these products. So I will link them all in the description box below. Again, I hope you found this helpful, and I will see you in my next video.